And we are back. Well, Blocktane, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So you're pretty young.
I'm 15. I'll be 16 in like 2 or 3 months.
That's awesome. How did this all come about for you?
So I've been making, I use the term making loosely, music from, I can't even remember when I started, because obviously my parents are both musicians, so I sing in choirs. I remember going to guitar lessons. I picked up piano at like 8 or 9, I think. But lo-fi really started when I was like almost 10. I think it was 9. And I heard a song on a playlist. Like, you know those Spotify playlists where it's like more like this artist?
Yeah.
I heard a lo-fi song on one of those, and I was really taken aback because I found it really cool. And then I kept going in. And obviously the lo-fi scene in 2016 is a lot different than it is today.
Yeah.
So it was more like the classical hip-hop type beats.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was more into electronic music. And I still really like it. So I kind of steered away from lo-fi for a little while. I had a couple songs I really liked, like This Again by Swum. And my brothers would make jokes because I'd play it all the time. So they're like, oh, This Again. And the song's name is This Again. But in 2020, I revisited, well, more like late 2019, I revisited lo-fi, and I found artists like Brilliant and Mellow.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2020, I got even more into it with Lo-Fi Girls starting their whole label and listening to their albums. Brilliant's Bedtime Stories Part 2 really was like insane to me. And then 2021, I started making it under the alias Blocktane. And that's kind of how it started.
That's awesome. Where did the name Blocktane come from?
So, originally Blocktane was my, I guess you could call it, electronic alias, because I had like, quote, future bass songs on it originally. They're still on Spotify, a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I combined the names because I was like, oh, what am I going to do for a name? Because I really want to release these songs. So I decided, oh, I'll take my two favorite video games at the time, and they still are, Minecraft and Rocket League. I took Block from Rocket League and Octane from Minecraft. Boom, Blocktane. In retrospect, it was not a very good name, but I kind of stuck with it, yeah.
No, I think it's really good, and you know, especially in the lo-fi music kind of genre, I feel like that name really works. So when you create your music, what's the process for you? How do you go about doing it?
Lately I've just been like, so I've told myself, because I got really worried about like what type of lo-fi I was going to do, because there's tons of different types of lo-fi.
Right.
And then I started like thinking about, well, do I need to do a specific type? So lately I've just been emulating artists and styles that I like when I want to do them. So like right now I'm working on an ambient album, and then like an ambient lo-fi album based off of Brilliant, Project Air, and I would say A Mess's works, because those guys really inspired me in their music. And then I'm also working on like a kind of quiet, almost timid album, like Tender Spring or Towers, if you know those names. They're pretty big lo-fi artists, and like just really quiet, and then like classical guitar and stuff. So I keep like, I take little bits of inspiration from other artists and other styles, and then I just go from there. Sometimes I'll pluck a melody out on the piano. Sometimes I'll just be like, well, I'm just going to click a bunch of notes and hopefully something will happen. Or sometimes I'll find a specific sound that I like, or a specific person I want to work with, and ask them to make something and send it to me. And I would say that's what I really like, collaborating. I love working with people. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah. And I feel like with lo-fi, it's such, an easy genre to do collaborations with,
definitely,
because there's so many aspects to it. So when it comes to your pieces, I know when it comes to like, songs that have lyrics, it's easy to name the songs, but like how do you name your songs, when there's not a specific subject to it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't really have like I do with music making, I don't really have like a defined process. I kind of just go where my mind takes me. I think that's the best. But lately what I've been doing is I've been naming it after phrases or like little lines that sound interesting, or sometimes just one word. Like for my recent EP, The Stars in Your Night Sky, I named it after that because I was thinking, like, one day I was thinking about like different poetry things, I don't know, like descriptive words and ways to describe things, and it just popped in my mind. The stars in your night sky is like really specific because it's describing something wonderful in someone's life,
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll name it after poetry quips, sometimes it'll be just one word. I don't really have a process for it, to be quite honest.
Well, no, that's great, because sometimes when you do have a process, that's when your mind gets too involved, and then you end up scrapping what you're working on. But when you do it in the moment, that's when you can feel the passion and the artistry coming through. So that's pretty awesome that you just and especially being such a young age and kind of having this mindset and quote unquote process to make your music. Like it's impressive.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. Now you had said that you like collaborations. Would you ever do any that include vocals?
I've done like singing, or like lyrical singing, or like ambient vocals without lyrics.
Either or, really.
So I've done some with ambient vocals without lyrics. I did one with my friend Amos, the guy that one of my albums I'm working on is kind of based off of. Mm-hmm. My most popular song, actually, Crescent. Mm-hmm. And it has like vocal lines in it, and that's really cool. Personally, I don't really like vocal lines in lo-fi. Like right. the way I see it, it's really hit and miss. Mm-hmm. For most lo-fi, most things aren't hit and miss, but like I feel like I can make mistakes way easier with vocal lines than I can with instruments. Right. So I kind of have deterred away from it, but from the more ambient stuff, I want to start getting more into it. I just don't have a female voice, which is the voice I prefer for vocals in lo-fi. Right.
Awesome. So going on through with collaborations, you two have collaborated on an album.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dreams Never Die Part 1.
Yes, it was super fun.
Yeah, that was...
It was, I mean, as a father, to do something like that with your son, and honestly, it was 99% Blocktane. Mm-hmm. I mean, he wrote all the songs, and he directed me, and it was a good working relationship because obviously he knows the style, and so I would say, okay, well, what do you hear on this one, and then he would direct me, and then he did all the editing, all the mixing. He went in there and chopped out my mistakes and made me sound good. And then I think we listened to it. We had a big road trip over the summer. We were driving out to Texas, and Blocktane put it on, and we listened to it in the car and just kind of talked through the mixes and the songs together. And that was about all the input I had. So I'll let you take it from here.
So it started. I don't really remember how it started. I think just one day we were like, we should do an album or something. I don't remember exactly how it started. Yeah. But it took about 10 months to do that whole album.
Because I'm so slow. He'll put out an album like, I mean, I see him in there. He's on his computer, and it's like a month, and he's got an album. He's just so prolific, and he works at it all the time. But for mine, he's hey, Dad, did you get a chance to listen? Oh, sorry. But to his credit, he kept on me. But it took a lot longer than you usually would.
But I think it came out pretty well, and I think that's all that really matters. Like, if it took 3 months, then it could have. Some of the songs I didn't start until like 6 months in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if it didn't take so long, I don't think the album would be as good as it is.
I think that's the nature of a project. I mean, one of my most popular albums is my Christmas album, right? Mm-hmm. So I recorded, mixed, and delivered it in 2 hours. I did the whole thing just like first take, boom, and then other albums have taken me 3 years. It just you never know what a project's going to entail, and with this collaboration, it was a little slower. I think it was faster for me and slower for you. And it's been a good working relationship because, I mean, honestly, I've learned a ton from seeing his process, and he inspires me in how prolific he is and the way he's releasing music, and because we're in many ways opposites, right? So I'll sit there and just monkey with a mix or a recording for months. Right. The calming music, 6 months after I recorded, I just sat there every day playing around with it. And I don't think it sounded any better 6 months later than it did to begin with. So I going through this collaboration was good. You know, you can certainly learn a lot from each other, from the different ways we work. So that was cool.
Awesome. And then William, you went by Wilson Fernandez for this album as well.
That's right. Yeah. So that anytime I get my electric guitar going, which I love playing, but I don't play like an electric guitarist. I mean, I play with a pick sometimes, and I'm okay with it, but I prefer using my fingers. I mean, but there are a lot of great electric guitarists who use their fingers. I think like Lindsey Buckingham, I believe he uses fingers at least at times. Anyways, so mostly on the album, I don't think I used a pick. And I have a really cool like Paul Reed Smith electric guitar that was my dream